Hey there, Internet! Welcome to the Hard On Gear channel, where I discuss and review my used and abused knives and gear so that you know what is or isn't worth spending your hard-earned money on. Oh, the joys of having a knife channel and being able to somewhat justify spending more money on knives and gear. So, this is another unboxing of a Leatherman tool, the Leatherman Signal. So, I've had a few Leathermans in the past. Yeah, I kind of forgot. I'm pretty sure at least one or two of them came in this fancy packaging. Maybe that's all of them. It's been many years, at least probably 5 or 6 since I purchased one. I've had a couple of cheaper multi-tools that I've used since. So I think the two that I had were definitely under $100. This was before I was really into knives. I probably had my Cold Steel Recon 1 and probably my that stupid Bear Grylls Ultimate Survival Knife. There'll be a review coming up on this guy soon, which I will be trying to be fairly unbiased, but it will be a bit of a scathing review. Anyways, so the multi-tools that I had back then were under $100 Leathermans. I don't know the model names, but I'd be lying if I said I knew what I had at the time, but definitely those cheaper budget models. One of them might have been off-brand, but I'm almost positive. There were 2 Leathermans and then 1 Gerber, and all 3 of them were in those nylon pouches that you put on your hip. And because of the way I move through the woods, I always manage to rip that nylon strap, and those things are scattered all across Canada. So there's my bush beater if I want to do some aggressive stuff, or if I want to cut some roots into the ground, or do a lot of shit that people would not want to see done with their knives. I'll do that with this without too much concern. Or if I want to do a little slicey dicey stuff, then I'll keep that sucker around. Although I've recently picked up the paramilitary too, and I've been rocking this in my pocket lately as my main slicey dicey folder, and I'm enjoying it very, very much. But same purpose, one folder that's going to retain a fairly sharp near hair popping edge, 1 fixed blade, and 1 multi-tool. But I want to try maybe upgrading to a slightly larger multi-tool for doing different things outdoors. So this Leatherman is not a budget Leatherman. This is right around the price of a lot of the decent quality mid-range ones, getting into that higher range for a multi-tool. I got the Crimson, which apparently was sitting in a factory for a while, so there's something interesting right off the bat. This old thing is dusty. Look at that. Okay, so personally, I do not care. It's going to get full of lint and pocket dust and stuff anyways. But I gotta wonder why this is so freaking filthy, Leatherman. Come on. Anyways, not a big deal. I know some people would freak out over this, not having this shiny and new. And you know, maybe this was one that was returned and somebody forgot to do the cleaning job or something like that. But anyways, let's see how it operates. Okay. Hey, whoa, that snaps in like something fierce. Okay, and those will get broken in more. This is one of the downsides of this. There's a couple of downsides to this. I'll get into the full review once I've worn it down a little bit. But this is not a spring-assisted plier like most of the Leatherman models, so not as handy as something with that spring, so you can get that one-handed action. That being said, for as much as I use the pliers, and for really the type of task where it's really important to have spring-loaded pliers, I'm sure I'll make do. I really like the way that hammer comes down and actually gives you that little bit of a pinky grip. It's actually quite comfortable. Yeah, so there's the box and there's the pouch, which I just hate because I'm going to lose it. I may wear it and just try it out, but I'm so scared and terrified to do so. I know people say, you know, put it in the back of you, put it in the front of you. I've got other stuff in the front of me, and then it always rotates to the side. If I put it in the back, then when I'm sitting or standing or moving around like that, it gets in the way. Leatherman really does do a fine job with their packaging. Say that little bit of a plastic insert. I don't think there's anything else. Nope, nothing else behind there. And then, of course, much fancier, much larger box than you're going to get. Much larger box than you need, really. But there's the little insert card here that comes with it with some information. Shows you what all your tools are and how to go about locking it and all that stuff. And I'm sure there's warranty information. No, well, yeah. Locking, unlocking. No, I don't see. Yeah. No. So it's not as complete as some of the packaging, some of the stuff you're going to get with your knives, but it does have some general use information, and I'm sure once you go on Leatherman's website, you'll find all the information you need. So I'm going to take this and I'll stick this somewhere. Maybe I'll find another use for this pouch, because they are decent quality, and I don't want to knock anything about Leatherman's quality control or their quality of these nylon sheaths or pouches. They're much better than a lot of the junk you're going to find. Just depends on how rough you are on your stuff, and I'm telling you, myself personally, this is not a rig for me. At least not for a belt carry. Again, maybe I'll attach this to a pack. You know, even then, I don't really have to because it's got this carabiner. So if you're going to attach it to a pack, that probably would be the way to go. Yeah, this is pretty average for your like medium-sized Leatherman. I think this is around the same size as a Wave. And also, like the Wave, it's got this pocket clip, which is exactly why I wanted to get either the Wave or Wave Plus or the Signal. The pocket clip feature makes this so much more appealing to me. So if I'm wearing my 511 tactical pants for work, I can pop this into one of my cargo pants. Mind you, that's going to weigh down a cargo pocket quite a bit, but I've got different options, and I've got all kinds of different straps and pockets where I could slip this into, or the carabiner option as well. But also some good folks on Instagram have been telling me that the carabiner actually doesn't fit too bad on your belt loop of your pants, on your jeans, if you're used to having some stuff hanging off your belt anyways. I don't know. I'm going to try doing some different carabiner carries. On a backpack, it's perfect, and really this is what this was designed for, kind of like your hiking, backpacking. What different folks have mentioned, you know, search and rescue, police, military carrying these on them because it's got the fire starter, it's got a few extra things on it that you might want if you're in a bad situation. Knife, sharpener, different survival stuff. So overall is maybe like a bug out or a outdoor camping wilderness tool. This is probably one of the better Leathermans that you could get. And there's your lat long for, I'm assuming that must be the Leatherman factory, which is in Oregon. Yep, just Google it, Portland, Oregon. So I'm assuming that's what those coordinates are for. Somebody let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. So I paid about 160 bucks for this, Canadian dollars. I think you're getting it for closer to like 130-ish, around that price in the States. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, depending on where you're shopping. Yeah, if I get any of these tools wrong while I'm going through them, somebody in the comment section, come down there and correct me. I've watched reviews for this guy before, but I've watched a lot of different reviews for a lot of different Leathermans and a lot of different knives and tools, so I could mess some of this up. When I do my full review after a few months of use and abuse, I'll make sure I have all the specs and everything down packed for you for that one. So here's your blade. It's not the chisel grind, so you've got a full flat grind on that sucker with that partial serration down here. So some of the different knives you can get, or some of the different Leathermans rather, will have a full bellied version and then a full serrated knife on it. This has the one knife, but it's got kind of the best of both worlds if you need that serration. This is actually a pretty decent looking serration. Blade's super sharp. I'm assuming, no, not quite hair popping sharp, but you're gonna get some on there, but certainly nothing like Spyderco or Cold Steel when you're taking them out of the box. You don't really need this to be razor sharp for a lot of the stuff you're gonna be doing if you're carrying this kind of tool for outdoor stuff. And I thought this was actually the lock. I see that this is a, well, first I tried and no budge, but this is a release for that sharpener, that little diamond sharpener that comes on there if you want to remove it from the entire knife to sharpen your actual knife that's on here. So like a lot of built-in sharpeners on different tools and different multi-tools and knives, they're either on the sheath or they're on maybe the multi-tool itself. Sheath's not bad because you can take the knife out of the sheath and sharpen it. But if the multi-tool sharpener is attached to it, how do you sharpen your knife on the multi-tool? So Leatherman's kind of found a way around that, and they've detached it so that you can actually, and I've not seen exactly, if this is used any differently, but this is how I would think to use it anyways, just like so. And not the best sharpener in the world, but if you had to put an edge back on your knife in an emergency situation, this is definitely going to do the trick better than a rock. I'm doing all this with the knife blade open. That's not the smartest thing to do, obviously. Just sort of fumbling through this since I thought this was the lock for it, and I'm just kind of going through the motions since I'm already talking about it. Yeah, okay, so that slides back on there, and then that pops up. Good to go. So yeah, there's your liner lock for the knife. Easy peasy. I'm assuming the same for this. Yep. So there's your real handy saw. That's quite an interesting tip they've got on here. I don't know what this little groove here at the end is. Somebody want to fill me in. But the saw looks like decent quality. Not a lot of play or wiggle in it. Although, of course, just because of the leverage point, it's not rock solid. But pretty damn decent. And I probably, same for the knife too. Actually, the knife's quite a bit more solid. This has got very, very little to no play at all in it, which is very impressive, again, for how far out that knife is relative to how little pivot is over the main body, if that makes sense. So yeah, that does that side. We got the sharpener, knife, saw, and then you've got your cheap little ferro rod, I guess, just put right in the side of this. Not going to be the best thing in the world, but if you needed to get fire and you've got a backup, good to have. You definitely would want to have multiple other ways of starting fire. Like, for example, lighters. Lighters are great. Bic lighters are awesome. You can buy a bunch of them, and they're going to cost you a few bucks, and they've got thousands of flicks, and you're good to go. If you want to also have some fire steels on you, great. And then if you have this one as a backup to your backup's backup, then even better. 2 is 1, 1 is none, 4 is even better. So long as you're not carrying too much crap anyways. On the outside of the blade, we've got our pocket clip over here, and there's the carabiner, which you can hook onto a backpack or a belt loop or anything else. There's a small little hex head. I'm not sure what size, but you've got 2 sizes on here. Decent enough to have just in case. And then you've got this handy dandy hammer, and there's been more than once setting up tent pegs or different things like that There has been more than once when I've been in the woods where I have wanted to hammer for something, whether I was trying to drive a stake into the ground. Not that this is going to do a whole lot for you, but better than using your fist or a knife or a rock a lot of the time. Tent pegs, kind of small for some tent pegs, but this would definitely come in handy, and I could see myself reaching for this if I needed a hammer when there was nothing else around. On the inside, okay, that's opening up quite a bit smoother already. It's not, oh well, look at that. No, it can actually be kind of open-handed, or one hand opened and closed, kind of like the Leatherman Wave or Super Tool. So it's a little stiff, and I'm sure it will break in more, but good to know. And actually, it's easier when you put the heavier side with the hammer on the opposite side of your hand. So, and that can pinch your finger apparently if you do it too aggressively, so be careful. Anyways, there is wire cutters in here. The wire cutters are replaceable, like the Wave Plus. So those are 420HC, like the knife. Everything else on here is going to be a cheaper stainless steel. I don't know exactly, maybe a 440A or something. I'm really not sure. But that 420HC steel's got pretty damn good edge retention on the knife and those cutters, and if they do ever wear down, you can get replacements on Leatherman's site. They have all kinds of small little bit drivers and replacements for their various tools if you want to throw one in there. Very handy if you do use those a lot and you want to replace them without replacing your entire Leatherman tool. Or if they break, because if they did break, you could send them to Leatherman and send the whole tool back, but if they do snap prematurely, which they shouldn't, Leatherman should be able to send you some through the warranty. Yeah, so inside here we've got a few more things. Yeah, so inside here we've got a few more things. I dare say, I think you can get rid of this, or not get rid of it, but you can take this out, the fire steel, the ferro rod, whatever. I'm not super technical with that stuff because I don't do a lot of firecraft, and I use a lot of Bic lighters instead. But, yeah, yes, okay, so that gets removed if you want to take that out and strike it a little bit more easily. But slips right back in there without too much fuss. Oh, maybe. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. That goes in there, and then that goes like that. Hey, perfect. This is kind of cool, actually. So no additional tools on the inside of that one. So you've got your hammer, you've got that carabiner and the fire striker, and then you've got on the inside of this one just a few extra little bits and things in case you need them. So there is... Okay, and multi-tool people, you are going to hate me right now, but here's this tiny little chisel pry thingy, scraper, / little tiny head twister, torquer thing in there if you do need to get something through that. Again, super mechanically inclined. Somebody comment, let me know what that is. Oh, and son of a bitch, I remember seeing that in the video now. So this doubles up. It allows you to remove that sharpener. It also allows you, which is diamond, by the way. Did I say that? Diamond sharpener. But it also acts as the lock for those few little tools back there. So then we've got our bottle opener, can opener, whatever you need to open. This should be able to do it for you. Yeah, and those both lock as well. And then we've got our bit driver with what is a, can you even get, there we go, it's in there pretty good. A half Phillips, well, 3/4 of a Phillips. It's a skinny Phillips, we'll call it, half skinny Phillips. And there's your flat on that side. So you do have a couple of bit driver options there if you need. And if you go on Leatherman's website, you can get the different bit kits that will allow you to get certain bits or any bit you need for these tools if you're needing certain screw heads depending on what you're doing for your job or whatever. Pretty handy. This has got basically everything that Leatherman Squirt's got on it except for a file and I guess the spring-loaded pliers, which certainly are nice. Oh, and I suppose it doesn't have the scissors, but really most jobs that I can use the scissors for, you can get away using a knife for. It is very handy having those here, and I've used them quite a bit. But the trade-offs for what you're giving up in the Leatherman Squirt for what you're getting in the Leatherman Signal, I would say are very worth it. Now, I'm not, should probably close that. I'm not totally impressed with how I guess sticky it feels in the joints and the pivots. Although again, brand new, I think it's brand new unless it was returned. That dust might have, it probably was just from the factory and it seems to have worn down, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. So, and yeah, there's the lock, I guess that's the other thing. Little locking clip here if you want to keep that locked, and when you want to open it up, you just flick that up and then you're good to go. And you can actually do that with one hand. So if you wanted to carefully, without snapping your fingers closed in there, you should be able to, yeah, a little awkward, but can do it. Close it with one hand. So if I were wearing that in my belt, pull it out, carabiner, I flip, and then I can, Oops, smack the mat there. But yeah, no, regardless, it can be used and manipulated for the most part with one hand, although pretty thick in the pivots at this moment. So when you do go and close it, it takes a lot of force and it might not go. But I'll break that in. I'll let you know after a few months how I like it. It's probably going to get used quite a bit, especially when I'm working out in the woods. I'm going to carry this with me on fire exports if we ever get sent out of province again. Thank you, COVID. Although it was pretty quiet 2020 fire season, which is pretty good. So 2021 not going super great right now anyways in some different provinces. So this will probably get some use, and I will let you know how it fares in those conditions. So in the meantime, feel free to check out the full review for the Leatherman Squirt or some of the reviews for some of these other knives out on the table, like the Essie Azula or the Recon one, or the Mannix 2. And there's also all kinds of unboxing reviews as I've added to my knife collection for the sake of this channel. So there's your Rat Model 2 and the Model 1. Cold Steel Kiradashi, which I picked up fairly recently. Not too long before that, the Paramilitary 2. Kershaw Blur, CRKT M16. Cold Steel, Luzon, Spyderco, Bow River. Starting to get some decent amount of these popular knives that I've never used before under my belt, and once I put some more wear and tear on them and find out what they can hold up to, I will let you know. And in the meantime, if you want to follow the Amazon affiliate links down below, there's also a Patreon link in the top of that description, which will help support the channel, and any funds raised through that Patreon will go directly towards more knives and gear that I will use and abuse, probably destroy on the channel. My patrons will be the ones who decide what knives I pick up with those funds, and then I will be destroying them, and they'll probably also get a bit of a say in what kind of tests I do to find out what they can hold up to. Hey, if you found some value in this content, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe and turn that notification bell on if you want to get all the updates when they come out every Monday, and then a few extras. And at 1,000 subscribers, which is going to be getting closer and closer as these next 6 months come along, I'll be doing some kind of a knife giveaway of a hard use fixed blade or folding knife, somewheres in that $100 to $200 price range. Something that I know could hold up to, well, if it can hold up to the kind of stuff I do to my knives without even trying, and then some of the tests that we're going to do later on in the channel, I'm pretty confident that you'll be able to get as much use or more than I'll ever be able to get. So keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, feel free to check out one of these other reviews or playlists, and thanks for watching. This is the Hard On Gear channel, signing off.